Well, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending upon where you are in the world, and welcome to today's DevOps.com webinar. I'm Charlene O'Hanlon, moderator for today's event, and I am super excited to be here because I am super excited about this topic. We have an amazing lineup of speakers today on today's webinar, but before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items we need to go over. First of all, today's event is being recorded, so if you miss any or all of the event, you will have the opportunity to access it later. Following today's webinar, we will be sending out an email that contains a link to access the webinar on demand. And we are taking questions from the audience, and we will be doing so throughout the webinar. So if you have a question for any or all of our speakers, please don't wait, don't hesitate. Just use the question and answer interface, our tab on your interface, and submit your question. And we'll try to get to as many as we can throughout the webinar. You can also use that interactive chat tab that we have on our interface so that you can submit your question there, or you can just chat us up and let us know your comments or whatever you want to tell us about value stream management. We will be monitoring that throughout the webinar as well. We also have a pretty nifty handout in the handout section there. You can take a look at it. It's a value stream management infographic that we've created as part of our topic spotlight of value stream management for the month of March. So you're welcome to take a look at it, download it. We'll also, I believe, be sending out a link, a post-event that you can access the what did I say? The infographic on your own at your leisure. And finally, at the end of today's webinar, we are going to be doing a drawing for 4 $25 Amazon gift cards. So please stick around. Hopefully you'll be one of our 4 lucky winners. All right. With that, all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and kick off today's webinar, which is Value Stream Management Comes of Age. This is a panel discussion, and we are, I'm so happy to have with me today Anna Murray, who is the Director of Product Management at ASG Technologies, Al Wagner, who is the Transformation Architect at HCL Software DevOps, and Jeffrey Kais, who is the VP of Product at Plutora. Welcome to all 3 of you. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm just so excited to have you guys here because I know everybody's experience and areas of specialty. We're going to have a really, really spirited discussion here. So very, very happy to have you all 3 here. Before we actually kick off our conversation, though, I'm going to do 2 things. First of all, I'm going to get rid of this title slide so everybody can see all 4 of us. And then I'm going to push out a polling question to the audience, because I really think it would be interesting to find out exactly where people are in understanding value stream management, how familiar they are with applying value stream management thinking for software development. The polling question has been opened up, and it should be right there in your polling tab there on your interface. You can go ahead and make your choice. The question is, one more time, how familiar are you with applying value stream thinking for software development? You can choose from novice, just starting my learning journey, advanced beginner, I have a basic understanding, competent, I applied some concepts, proficient, I have applied many concepts, or expert, I have extensive experience. So we're going to go ahead and give the audience a couple minutes or so to go ahead and make their choice, and then we'll take a look at the results. But I do want to, while we do have this polling question open, I want to kind of kick things off with asking each of you guys, and Al, you can start us off here. What does value stream management mean to you?
Well, for myself, it's truly understanding who the consumer is, and then looking at how things are done, the various stages and steps that the ideas may flow through till value is delivered. And value delivered to me is the consumer has access to it and is getting benefit from it.
Okay, and Anna, how about you?
Well, I'll add on to what Al said, because that was very good. I concur completely. And as I look at it too, it's a matter of breaking down the silos between the different parts of the organization that make up that chain to deliver the value that Al was talking about. and making sure that you raise visibility across all of those silos to help ensure that you're increasing your velocity and your delivery of quality to and value to your customers or your consumers, as Al put it, because they might be internal.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Jeffrey, what about you?
I agree with all that. Breaking down the silos is a way of another way I like to think of that is a way of combining it. How do you combine the different tools, the people, and the processes that are creating value for customers, with the focus not being on what's being delivered, but the actual value output, and looking at governing, optimizing, visualizing that through really different styles of development, different technologies, different kinds of tool sets, different methodologies, and the thing that basically acts as a control plane above all of that.
All right. All right. Great. Lots of agreement there, which is a very good thing for today's conversation. So before we dive any deeper, I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll. Let's take a look at the results and see where folks are kind of in their journey, their DevOps or their value stream thinking for software development journey. So I'm going to throw out these numbers to you guys, and then we can kind of discuss the responses. How familiar are you? The largest number, 35%, said they are novices. They're just starting out. The second largest group, 29%, said they are advanced beginner, and then 16% said they are competent, and then 13% said they're proficient, and which is interesting. There are fewer proficients than competence, and then only 6% said they are experts. So it looks like we are closer to the beginning on value stream management within many organizations than we are to that comfort level, if you will. So let's start there. We've been talking about value stream management for quite a while. On DevOps.com, but it doesn't seem as though it's really kind of gained traction yet. And Jeff, let's start with you, because I know you guys are talking with folks all the time about value stream management, and you do about 1 million webinars a day on value stream management. So let's with that in mind, and the number of webinars you do alone, what is it about value stream management that do you think we're on the right track as far as timing is concerned with the adoption rates for value stream management, or are we still kind of folks are just kind of learning about it right now?
I do think the timing, two parts, the learning and the timing. The timing is perfect. We've been talking agile and lean thinking for the better part of 20 years. Back even when I was cutting code, it was the whole new model. Wow, we do iterative development. We don't do big long cycles. Let's break the work up, limit your work. All these practices intended to really optimize delivery. And all of a sudden, part of that lean thinking matured to say, well, why aren't we using flow kind of analysis? Why aren't we looking at ways that we can homogenize all the the little systems underneath, use systems kinds of thinking to do that, just like we do in manufacturing? Mm-hmm. Why can't we apply that to software? I get software's different than a regular manufacturing floor, but the principles of lean are the same. As you look to analyze value stream metrics and analyze the the flow of value, it changes how you view your delivery, how your agile and your DevOps transformation is going. And I think that's why it's becoming popular. All of a sudden, it's like, well, wait a minute. In other words, I've had development be this black box for so long because you can't really do better than that. And because my engineering teams are focused on one style, I can't really have a way of digging in. Well, now with this kind of methodology, it's come of age to say, no, that's no longer acceptable. Now we really can have a control plane that brings data in and normalizes that to where we can have a consistent nomenclature of how you view value flowing through the system. That's why it's becoming popular. And I'm not surprised that people are new at this, because frankly, the whole space is new. This is a new category. It will be the next generation of of what Agile and DevOps grow into. It is the management plane above that.
Mhm.
So, Anna, do you think that the evolution of value stream management, as Jeff has just described it, do you think that this has been kind of a natural evolution, or do you think that this was something that maybe if you guys kind of had, and I hate to use the term force the issue, but kind of brought it to this place that maybe we wouldn't see value stream management as it's being used today in software?
I'd have to say it's a bit of a combination. And I say that because I see what Jeff is saying, and it is a natural evolution. I've studied Agile workflow changes, and I've led Agile transformations, and some successful and some not based on other factors, right? But as we've grown through that, right, there's a lot of things that value stream management helps to solve in some of those failures. And on the other hand, where I'm working today, we have lots of mainframe customers, and DevOps is becoming mainstream with mainframes. And as that starts happening, they're a little bit lost, honestly, right? And so as we help them, we are kind of leading them to this space, right? Helping them understand, look, there's an answer. It's okay. We're with you. And yeah, there's steps to get there. It doesn't happen overnight. And so the concept of value stream management is pretty new to a lot of our mainframe audience. Whereas you're talking with Plutora, you're right, you guys cloud first, and there's a lot, it's probably more, natural there than it is with the mainframe folks. And so we cover cloud to mainframe and back again, right? So we do both, but it's certainly with that audience that I think we've had to lead them a little bit more.
Makes a lot of sense. And Al, with your audience or with your customer base, where are you guys seeing value stream management kind of taking off more or being embraced more? Are there certain areas that have kind of getting value stream management more than others?
I as Jeff said, this is a new space. So as we're trying to build up the market, but as I chat with customers, I hear a lot of investment in different toolings across the pipeline, creating automation silos. And then the business leaders are going, well, I've invested all this money. Where's the return on that investment? So value stream management is raising the conversation, forcing people to look across, from idea to the consumer again, and being able to present value back to the business who's making these investments and plot the course. Are we on the right track? It's, if we look at optimizing the system as a whole, the value stream management and these discussions we're having, when I start asking customers, how does an idea enter the process and when is it going out, and what are you tracking the value that release is generating? It's forcing that conversation. So I think it's very timely right now across many customers.
Yeah, and to not put too fine of a point on it, every day in the customer base we have, people are creating initiatives, and those initiatives, in these very large financial tech, insurance, and so forth, span these groups that are, the lack of a better word, I'll call them the cool kids, right? They're cloud native, they got all this cool stuff going on, and they're all excited about it, and stuff's just churning along. And they're really excited about how quickly and how frequently they can pump stuff to production, and it's awesome. And then at some point in time, they realize, oh crap, I've got these older legacy systems that are monolithic, and even I've got my mainframe systems. How do I coordinate across all this stuff? How do I have a common understanding of the dependencies as things flow around? How do I coordinate the delivery schedules? And how, for the crying out loud, do I have some kind of knowledge that I'm improving what I'm doing across the board? No wonder this conversation has come of age, because everybody is sitting in this kind of world, unless you're completely some small little company and you don't have to ever worry about this.
And you raised something interesting, Jeff, around the, these metrics that we're pumping stuff out quicker, we're building faster, we're increasing quality. But when is value realized? Those are all activities until the value is realized, where internal consumer or external consumer is actually using what you've built. So even though you can build quicker and you can deploy faster, are they getting the value out of what you built, or do you need to pivot? And that's the other part of this conversation.
That's an interesting point, because when I think of value stream management, I think more of the impact of certain things on, like, in the software delivery lifecycle. Like if there's a delay in any part of the application development, how does that impact the business as a whole? I mean, how the delay in production? So to your point, Al, that whole kind of external customer, the impact on them, I think, is also a very important part of value stream management. And I'm not sure that a lot of organizations kind of understand both the external and internal issues that that value stream management addresses.
That's what I see. Is a lot of focus on the inside stuff and not a lot on NPS scores or increasing subscription bases and such.
Yeah. Jeff, were you going to say something?
I thought that was a foregone conclusion. 2 weeks ago,
you said it. I didn't. You said it. I didn't.
2 weeks ago, I had a prospect call, and I like to jump on those every so often just to kind of hear what people are talking about. And somebody came on, and he said his mandate was to create, a set of metrics for delivery to show the value they're producing. And the model that he held up the Accelerate book and said, hey, I've got to show these DevOps metrics. What's my deployment frequency, change failure rate, blah, blah, blah. And in getting to the conversation, to underscore your point, Al, the conversation was, well, okay, so assuming you're able to produce that, what's that going to tell you at the end of the day? Mm-hmm. Great. Your deployment frequency is, I don't throw out a number, 25. Now what? If you go to 26, are you doing better? If you invested $1 million and you got to 30, now what? What does that mean? And how are you actually doing? We've spent millions in transformation across the industry. We've spent more than that. It's massive, the amount of time and energy and focus. Why are we not changing the story? I thought the way that I was taught at the core of Lean is that there's this mind change, this mind shift, if you will. Quote the Mike Burrows side of, let's stop worrying about resource efficiency and start focusing on flow efficiency. How long do things take from idea to production? And why are we not looking at the realization of, and not flow of widgets, but flow of customer viewed value? And that's the conversation change.
Right. And when that makes me think, Jeff, is that in that shift, you've got to start measuring your key performance indicators, right? So it's one thing to deliver that value, which we thought was value, but how did it perform? And how are you measuring the value that you're providing and that it actually did what it was supposed to do, right? And that's a different challenge for every business, of course. But from a value stream management perspective, we can help you visualize it, right?
Yep.
Sorry, my mic was muted there. Didn't want to bother anybody there for a second. So let's talk about then about value stream management adoption. So I am wondering if you guys have seen an increase over the past 12 months or so because of let's just say world events. What's been happening over the last year. Have organizations put a greater emphasis on measuring all the things, if you know what I mean? And as part of that, has value stream management become a larger part of the conversation? And Anna, I want to start with you on this one, especially since you were kind of in an area that deals a lot more with those systems of record and the mainframes. Interesting thought process around value stream management when it comes to the mainframe. So what are you seeing with your customers?
Well, I think a lot of them are more still in recovery mode, figuring out what to do with themselves, because really what happened in 2020 for the mainframe was really very interesting to me, because early in 2020, people started saying, oh, the mainframe is so old and antiquated. How come anybody's still running mainframes? And it's failing us. And what should we, how'd we get here? Well, actually, the mainframe wasn't failing. The websites were failing. And so, what people started to realize that was that the mainframe has its place, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is high transaction. And you cannot beat a mainframe when it comes to that high transaction processing. And so what did fail? Well, we stopped investing in people for mainframes. I was a Windows 95 baby. The mainframe was dying when I got into IT, right? So my whole generation, who wanted to be a COBOL programmer, right? Nobody. So we went from baby boomers to millennials. And there's this big gap in between. And so a lot of what we're seeing is a huge resurgence in people realizing how valuable the mainframe is, training up those millennials and Gen Z programmers, right? And guess what? They want to be performing agile practices. They want to be developing in new user interfaces that are modern looking, not in green screens, right? And so there is a reaction of educating the new generation, right? And saying, okay, how do we bring that mainframe into the flow? Because we are moving to, maybe they're going to the cloud. They may be outsourcing their mainframe to the IBM cloud, right? And then, no, we don't want to do that. We want to keep that internally for security reasons, but we still have an AWS instance and we still have ServiceNow and we still have all these other applications as part of our tool chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we tie it all together? And so what we're seeing in our customer base is a real hunger for knowledge, a real need for solutions, right? And we can't provide them all of the solutions, but we can help them answer some questions, help point them directions. Yes, we can help them solve some of those problems, but I think it was Al that pointed out recently, nobody has the entire right solution for everyone, right?
Right.
So it's working really in partnership with each other, and ASG has expanded our partnership exponentially in the last 5 years, a lot for that reason, right? And we have lots of product sets and product lines, but one of the things we say is we're better together, right? When we work with our partners and we help expand that ecosystem for our customers, it's our customers that start to receive that value, right? Just because of the partnership. If we can't do it, we'll point you over to this partner who can help you. And so I think that's what we've seen in our customer base, which is probably vastly different from what these guys have seen. But I'm interested to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, me too. Jeff?
I know it's really bad. There's many roads to value stream management. I don't think there's any wrong road, frankly. As you start where you are, we have most of our customers come at it from one of three spaces. Either they've got a problem in the release process where they're trying to govern, big messy releases that they don't know how to do. They're trying to govern non-production environments like it's the easiest. Before you go to solve many problems, that's your Achilles heel. How do you set up these non-prod environments and keep track of what the crap is happening wherever? And then there's been a really a big increase of folks over recent events that just want to see what's going on. People used to be able to manage by walking around, and good luck with that, especially when you're dealing with these pipelines that are almost ephemeral, right? Hey, I spin up a CI/CD pipeline in an instance, and it's going away, in a day or two. How do I know where anything is? How do I track the features, initiatives, and with people not being in the office, being able to talk to each other all the time, gosh, how do they figure that out? And all of a sudden it's this idea, well, why don't I have a way where I can put all this stuff and be able to drill through to see where things are transparently? I don't have to go ask somebody, and I can stop bugging people where they keep giving statuses. What a great concept, inter-value stream management. Now it's transparent.
And Al, what about what are your thoughts on this? And especially considering what's been going on over the last year, and the way organizations have kind of pivoted in many of their processes, including that dreaded digital transformation acceleration conversation that we've been having also, just about as much as value stream management over the last year. So it's been it almost seems like the two technologies or two ideas have been kind of going in on parallel tracks. So is there any, is there any the method there to that madness when we talk about digital transformation and value stream management?
I think there's two parts. Companies have made a lot of investment, and the value stream management discussion starts to bring these light to whether these investments are paying off. The other side of it is, with the recent events, it was very disruptive to, as Jeff said, how we did our jobs in the past. You could manage in the office. The daily stand-up was a group of people got together and shared. We don't have that anymore. So with respect to a value stream management tool and having visibility as to how things are progressing through that pipeline, it facilitates conversation. If we're not all working on the same 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or whatever anymore, we're distributed around the world. Sometimes we're in different time zones. So again, presenting that gives people the flexibility to deal with some of the human side of the equation, dealing with children or partners, or just the pressures of working from home. It allows them to work at their pace, but still share data with the larger team to provide that insight as to how things are really going on. You can't sugarcoat data. You see it. It's on a screen, and it leads you to a question. So I guess for me, a lot of it is facilitating the discussion as well as giving that end-to-end picture.
Excellent. Well, on that topic of questions, I do want to just remind the audience that if you have a question for any of our speakers, any of our panelists here, please go ahead and use that question and answer period or tab or the chat tab, and we'll go ahead and incorporate it into the discussion. I think there's a lot of questions about value stream management out there, so please don't delay. Go ahead and get them on in if you got them. But I do want to also kind of maybe make that connection between value stream management and DevOps specifically, because it's sometimes I think it can be rather difficult maybe for some to kind of wrap their brains around, well, how does value stream I see it as more of a business conversation, less of a developer conversation. So let's maybe see if we can shed some light on that. And Al, curious, maybe you can kind of get this conversation kicked off. Where do you see value stream management tying into DevOps?
Well, at the foundation, it's the guiding principles that Gene talked about in the Phoenix project, right? It's optimizing the system of the whole to accelerate the feedback loop, and accelerating the feedback loop from multiple levels, from the consumer back to the business. Hey, you're not responding to my request fast enough, or hey, your site is continually out, or your site got hacked. Now what do I do? Down to the feedback level between the various stages in that pipeline. The handoff, or not really a handoff, but the push of work from dev to test, closing that feedback loop. So there's a lot of stuff in again, being able to measure that feedback, but then tie it back to the business. So we hear all these KPIs, build frequency, deploy frequency, deploy success rates, mean time to recovery. But and Jeff called it out earlier. That's all great, but if the customer or the end user, the consumer, doesn't get value from it, then what are you really doing? So again, optimizing the system as a whole, accelerating the feedback loop, and then experimentation. Trying a hypothesis, trying something new to learn from it, but then have a mechanism to measure against it. Am I doing better? Have I increased my lead or decreased my lead time, my cycle time? Have I eliminated a handoff because I've integrated something? It's in the data. That's my thought on how it ties into DevOps. It's about achieving that vision.
So what about and I don't even know if this is an argument that companies even hear when it comes to value stream management. The developers say, well, you know what, I'm here to develop, I'm here to build applications. It's really not my job to kind of figure it out from a business, perspective, what the value is that I do. I mean, I know what I'm supposed to do and I do it. And beyond that, KPIs and metrics, they mean nothing to me. So Anna, you're kind of, snickering a little bit. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the thing is, it's a culture shift, right? And so as that's happening, and I've been talking a lot about DevOps and culture change recently in webinars, and that is a lot the pushback is we have that kind of an old way of thinking that's having trouble switching into the DevOps mindset. So I've mentioned Gene Kim's books, of course, and try to help people make a connection to a real life story, right, of a company that goes through a DevOps shift and decides that, there is value in it for me, right? And actually in my career, as I've even just done agile transformations, and we weren't even to DevOps or to value stream management, I'm always hearing developers say, what's in it for me? Why do I care?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so, we should have a good answer for them, right? But it's sort of hard to explain to them until they experience it. You're going to be more satisfied. I'm satisfied right now. Why do I don't need to be more satisfied. So it depends on the persona that you're talking to, what the character of that person is, and finding out what matters to them. Mm-hmm. And you may not break through that barrier, but ultimately it's up to the leadership to say, okay, what's the right way to help solve the problems? And it's not necessarily about that individual developer, right? Mm-hmm. We want all of our developers on board and all of them contributing, right? And seeing the value for themselves. It's about the whole value that we're getting for our company and to our customers, right? So, but I also know that there's developers that realize that they're not satisfied unless they know that people are using their software and getting value from it, right? Because ultimately, I've seen the most demoralized teams when they don't deliver, they don't ship on time, they ship and then nobody uses it, right? We don't sell. So all of that, to tell a developer, well, trust me, your morale will be higher. You'll be having more fun, right? The mm-hmm. principles from Gene Kim's books, the joy, bringing the joy back into your development. Because I think while a developer might be satisfied, they're not joyful anymore. And there's a difference. If you love what you do, you should be joyful. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a little extreme, but it's a good concept, I think. And value stream management connected to DevOps, DevOps is a way of thinking. It's a concept of working together and coordinating and tying the bits together, right? And value stream management can help connect those dots for you as you decide which tools belong in your DevOps tool chain, as you keep that mindset. And boy, golly, let's not forget those security tools as we do that. So may have gotten off topic there, but
no. I think it's awesome. I do want to touch on security. I think that's a very, very important part of the conversation. I do want to let Jeff give his 2 cents though on where BSM fits into the DevOps equation. So Jeff, are you from your perspective, I know you talk to a whole lot of customers. So are you seeing a lot of uptake from DevOps organizations when it comes to value stream management and the individual folks who are actually, the quote unquote DevOps practitioners?
Yeah, so Platora as a company, we focus primarily on the Fortune 1000. So my customer experience is more targeted in that range of feedback. But when I first got to Platora, one of the first feedback points that we had of an early customer was just coming on board, he said, we've been doing DevOps for 18 months and that team has yet to ship anything. Sort of dismissive in the fact of their ability to deliver. And I've got to imagine what's the impact of that team of all the work that they're doing to try to combine dev and ops and operationalize and transform culture. And yet they're running into the brick wall of various things. What value stream management does to help that is to really start bringing people together to normalize that process. These teams, especially the individual dev teams, are easily able to point out and say, well, the reason this takes so long is because look how long it takes us to get stuff through to production, and look at all these governance and controls things that we had before. And then of course, if you have them look the other direction of, well, how long did it take that idea to get to you? Oh gosh, they were sat in planning, they organized, and 12 months later, and we don't even know if it's still valid. What a crazy thing.
Right.
That this has become acceptable. And meanwhile, the dev team is really excited that, hey, we did this DevOps transformation. One of the things we did is we got our build time down from 3 days down to, 6 hours. Meanwhile, there's a year and a half before to take an idea to get it to them, and then it's another 6 months to get the idea out to production. Craziness. Why are we not starting to look at this holistically? From a dev team specifically, for example, one of the things that we hear is, let's stop bugging developers about how's it going. Why are we not just pulling data from the system? Visibility is what's key. Visibility creates the collaboration and efficiency that we need. We don't need to ask developers how's it going. We can look at the systems. If we pull that in a normalized way, poof, that's the efficiency and collaboration that we need, because it's natural. It's a natural part of everybody's day, everybody's work that we do. So the other thing that I would say is the impact on teams is it individualizes their progress, right? Every team can go on this transformation journey at their own speed using whatever tools they need to, and that's okay. Run your experimentation. That's fine. The point of value stream management is to homogenize that. I don't care where you are. Does it make sense? You might be waterfall, and that may be okay. That in fact may be the best answer for you. You might have another team that's part of that super fast moving because they want to iterate a lot, and you just need to find a way to bring it all together. Great, that's also okay. The point of this control plane is to make all that normalized, that your journey doesn't have to be in lockstep with every other team and using the exact same tools. And it doesn't matter. We can find a way to add governance and management over the top.
All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit now. I do want to talk about one thing that Anna brought up in her conversation, which was security and value stream management. Let's talk about security and value stream management. Anna, what are you seeing? What is, I don't know if it's the biggest issue regarding security, or where security kind of fits in that value stream management conversation. So curious as to what you're seeing when it comes to security and value stream management.
I think it's more a topic that for our customers, we're leading the conversation on. Right.
Okay.
As we, I work with other product managers who have a lot of experience in the security space, and we keep an eye on that because it's super important to us as an independent software vendor, right? That what we deliver is secure. And then this year we had the big news about the hack at SolarWinds, and that is one of the most terrifying things to me as an independent software vendor, that would happen to us. I can't imagine how hard they're working over at SolarWinds to find out what happened and how to never let it happen again, right? And it happened in their development pipeline somewhere that they were hacked. How in the world did that happen, right? There's a lot of ways actually that can happen. Yeah. And we know that a hacker that is dedicated enough will break through near darn anything. But there's ways, right, to make sure that you're scanning your code while it's at rest, scanning while it's in transit, making sure that your packages haven't been tampered with, that, there's a lot of stages along the way that can be scanned with security tools that are part of that DevOps tool chain, right? And that's where the DevSecOps conversation has come in. Don't just have a DevOps mindset, have a DevSecOps mindset. So as you build your tools and you start connecting your dots, you make sure that you have your security scans built in. And there's so many places to be hacked, right? That you want to automate that. You want to make sure that you pick the right tools and that you automate those scans so your developers aren't slowed down. They do their commits like they always do, and automatically we make sure there's no problems, right? And so I think that's where, more than anything, there's security teams in a silo, right? And they may invade the developer space and say, hey, we're going to do these attacks on you to see if anything happens. Well, no, we should be working together, right? So why are you attacking me? We should be planning together and making sure that we're, developing our code in such a way that it's secure, making sure that our network is secure, and working together towards that secure DevOps environment, which intersects then with value stream management, right? And in fact, you might see a dip in your value stream management and your return on how quickly you're getting value if you start implementing all that security. But how are you implementing it? There's a way to optimize it and to make it not impact your time to delivery as much, right? But we can't overlook it. If nothing else, looking at the SolarWinds incident makes us, it was a real wake up call, right? And we still don't know exactly what happened, what the whole impact is, but it's scary nonetheless.
Yeah. So with value stream management, then, is with security and with pretty much any part of the application delivery life cycle and other parts of the organization, value stream management, as I saw it initially, was a way to kind of measure what everything that's happening in the business, how it's impacting the business. But can it also be used to help organizations make proactive decisions on what tools they want to buy, what ways they want to maybe push their development processes or other things within the organization? So in other words, can organizations use it to advance their proactive decision making? Jeff?
Certainly. As you look across teams, you can see what's working, what's not. How are we doing at value delivery, however we define it? As long as we can come up with a common nomenclature of defining value, lots of different ways, from adoption, customer sat, to NPS, happiness, and standard metrics. The goal is to up level that across the teams and then look at how it's going. We can then connect the streams, if you will, and say, well, this team's doing this style of development. They've invested this much into whatever they've done, and how's it working. I think there's a few other conversations that are interesting for that as well. It's not just the number of features they're pushing through, but to start to analyze the how much are they working on re-architecting the technical debt? How much are they working on building up and preventing risk, including security in their pipelines? How much is their defect investment for fixing existing bugs? And then correlating that to the output of the delivery, and then comparing that right mix, of what's working to other teams, and say, well, okay, how did that go? Is that right? Is this team, should they be investing more into defects versus new features, for example? One of the classic signs, a team that's experiencing, performance problems. Well, you know what? That's a pretty good sign. You should be spending more in technical debt than you are in maybe just keep cranking out more and more features. So does it drive the investment? Yeah, I think the point is it up levels the conversation and sort of makes it simpler to see than a list of features and a story that goes around it. And ultimately, as we've been talking about, we have to look at the value delivery. What's it mean from a value delivery? What does it look? Because without that, it's sort of pointless.
Okay. We've actually gotten some questions in from the audience that I want to throw out to you guys, because I think they will actually kind of help drive the conversation a little bit further. Robert asks, we are currently in the process of performing proof of concept exercises with ARA/VSM solutions, and yes, Plutor is one of them. The biggest question that we will need to address is the value point that you keep mentioning. What would you say are the 3 key values of investing in value stream management methodologies? And Jeff, since Robert specifically mentions Plutor, I'd like you to go first, and then Al, I'd like to hear from you about what you guys are saying as kind of those value points, and then Anna. So I'd like to hear from everybody. But Jeff, why don't you kick us off there?
Well, just a tweak. I I tend to think of release automation as some of the deployment automation kinds of things, which Platora is not. We're not a deployment automation tool. We're not a release automation tool. We do release orchestration, can model the pipeline, and that's great. And that's right where the solution comes in. And you want that. You want to be able to do some modeling. And again, great inroad to value stream management. What should you want out of value stream management? One, you want to be able to get the governance over the pipelines. Back to the points we've been talking about before of is there security? Well, how far is it? Well, this team's got it really, really well automated. Great. We'll put them on the cool kids path that we can verify the pipeline, verify that their security scans are good, and we're good to go. This other team's not. We haven't invested in that. It doesn't make sense to invest in, or maybe it does, but we haven't gotten there yet. Great. We'll put them on the list of governance to say there'll be a checkpoint to validate that they're doing the right thing. That governance is important, in fact, critical. One of the key things that holds up the transformation is this controlling cultures. We need a way that we're okay, that we're going to be a one team, as you were talking about, Anna, and this is how we'll do it. We'll templatize our releases. Here you go, automated versus not, we don't care. The second one would be really the visibility, the traceability, if you will, from idea to production. How do I see what's flowing through the system? I don't care what kind of release style it is, what kind of release automation I'm using. I don't care how mature the automation is. Give me visibility through the pipe. Give me some of the metrics of delivery and how it's going. Management fits into that bucket, right? I want to manage these things better than I'm doing. The third one would be the analytics and flow. Give me the key performance indicators. Give me some of the metrics of delivery, like we're talking about, my lead time, my cycle time, my even my efficiency. Show me how it's flowing through from a work in progress, and be able to connect that to value delivery at the end of the day. So I've got a set of features and initiatives. How am I doing on those? How much value is it delivering? And correlate that to how many incidences, what's my help desk count, what am I, just pulling the whole thing together is the value.
Awesome. Al, do you have different thoughts on that, or when it comes to the key values of investing in VSM?
Well, one of the discussions I have with clients is, disparity in the tool chains, and every organization has these individual repos where the data resides. Some of them are going to the point of creating their own dashboards, and trying to bring all this data together to facilitate that discussion or make decisions. And I've written a lot of utilities in my time when I was a developer to help teams, and I always referred to them as the gift that keep on taking. As soon as you write something custom, you now own maintaining it. So is your core business to write a utility or a dashboard that is going to bring all this data together, normalize it, and present it in a way? Or do you want to focus on business objectives and delivering value to your customer? Do you want to pick up a vendor solution that already allows you to bring all this data in from this massive data lake and present it in a way? So that's the first time to value. Is I'm not going to take on technical debt by building some utility that I have to maintain, which takes me away from my ability to write value for the business. The second one that I see is a lot of organizations are struggling in reporting up to their stakeholders. They're getting questioned on spend. They're getting questioned on time. They're getting questioned on, are we going to be ready? And then you're going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to bring that data together. Just look at a window, look at a dashboard, look at a chart that's been built on trends so that you don't have to spend time building the reports. You can send a URL to the person asking the question or share an export of the report with them to say, here's the data you're looking for. Here's the forecast. This is where we are, current status. The third one is, I see it as a lot of organizations have invested a lot of money in various toolings, and perhaps they didn't look at their process to begin. They've just automated and they've created an automation silo. Maybe they integrate out, but they don't understand some of these dependencies or where these potential bottlenecks, where's the next opportunity for improvement? We're all about continuously improving. We've been building software since the 60s, and we've been trying to get better at it every year since then. That's our job, right? Happy people delivering better software of higher quality faster. I don't care what name you put on it. So that's what we're trying to do, is help companies continue on that journey of happy people delivering better, higher quality software faster. And we do that through presenting data and helping them identify bottlenecks and facilitate or giving them an opportunity to facilitate the discussion to see what that next step may be to make a better decision.
All right, great. And Anna.
That's not a good one to go last on. So now we have 6 answers for the 3. No,
that's okay. I mean, if you agree with them, just say, I agree. Let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, no, I think Al and Jeff covered it really well, right? And
okay.
As I can't add any more, so I think we should move to the next one.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine, because we are 10 minutes to the top of the hour, folks. So we're quickly running out of time. So I do want to address these other questions that have come up. And maybe, Anna, we'll start with you on this next one. Have any of your customers begun their journey with value stream management? And what was their experience versus those that began with Agile or DevOps? John, that's a great question. So did they kind of just, dive right into it midstream, if you will, rather than starting with Agile or DevOps and then adopting value stream management?
Well, and since they're asking about my customers, I would say no. None of them have started there. They have gone Agile, DevOps, VSM, right? Because VSM itself requires some amount of thought change, right? Culture change, thinking about it a different way. And if they haven't gone Agile in some way or started to think about, maybe they skipped DevOps, but they thought Agile and lean principles, right? And then realize VSM, right? But there is intersection with DevOps, because, and some of our customers don't do DevOps at all, right? They don't do development, but they see the need for value stream management, right? So we've got, hey, we need to be Agile. Yeah, we need to be communicating more with each other, right? We need to break down silos. How am I going to see everything in one way and homogenize it, as Jeff has put it, right? So no, I haven't seen any of them just jump from traditional old school thinking straight to VSM and then work back in some of that other stuff.
Okay.
How about you guys?
For myself, I think it's part of an evolution. We got the agile planning. Then we've moved into some automation tools around continuous integration, delivery, test, security, and now we're wanting to again expand it out further. At HCL, we refer to it as DevOps Day 2. It's that next phase in the journey. So that, I think it's a natural progression. Jeff?
Yeah, and our end, the people that are interested in VSM are already the same folks that are doing transformation, because they're they're a center of excellence looking to change the organization, how the organization works, and so they're already there. Not that they needed to start there, but just the way it was.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I have another question here that actually ties into a topic that I wanted to discuss, kind of close out the conversation with. So hooray, I'm glad this question came in. It's from Ram. He asks, hello. So it looks like there is no one definition fits all yet for value stream management. So are there any open source efforts? Why are you laughing, Jeff?
Are there any open source efforts? Yes.
or standardization efforts around this concept. So Jeff, why don't you kick us off, since obviously you got something to say.
I do. I was walking back when we used to go to conferences a couple of years ago, if you remember that. We were walking around the conference floor around a DevOps conference, and value stream management was everywhere. It's like, wow, how did this change so fast? I thought we were at a DevOps conference. And as you talk to vendor, the definition was slightly different depending upon the marketing and so forth. Value stream management has become such a marketing buzzword. It's hot right now, and that means all the vendors are going to jump in. I'm waiting for Campbell Soup to jump in, or somebody. I mean, everybody's going to do value stream management at some point, right? Because it's cool. No offense to Campbell Soup. I'm sure there's good things happening. So we recently launched the Value Stream Management Consortium. It's been less than a month. And if you go to vsmconsortium.org, sign up, and we'll get you on board. We're looking as a cross set of vendors to standardize this practice because, frankly, we need, for the good of the industry, we need to standardize this across what people are doing. We need to have standard ways that we look at things. I'll be honest, for example, in my own world, I get a fair number of people that come to us because they started with the Hygeia dashboard from, the open source thing that Capital One did some time back to look at software delivery. And people got to start there and like, well, I get only so far, and then I run into roadblocks, and I really need something more that can look across things. They're like, yes, you do. And as we look at what these things were, all of us came together, and the vendors are there. And keep in mind, you've got all the leaders of the value stream management wave from Forrester on this, and some really big names. So the goal and the effort of the consortium is to provide just that, standardization in how you adopt these, standardization in the terms, in the methods, and really you'll get some of the kinds of metrics of delivery and what to do about them will be the next step, right? Hey, if you're just like DevOps had the core, what used to be known as the DORA metrics, you're going to see some standard metrics come out of the industry saying, if you're doing value stream management, here's your standard metrics, and this is what they mean. And if you see these kinds of patterns, this is how you should react to it. We have to, as a software industry, get used to that. That needs to be our model needs to be to improve value flow. And we can start to look at what does the definition of value. I would join that too, because we started a survey and a set of research that we'll do, which is the state of value stream management. You'll find on there, if you go up, you'll see a link to it. Take the survey, please. It'll take you 10 minutes, and you'll see some. You'll, as a result of taking the survey, you'll get the summary report where you can see how people are doing with value stream management.
Cool. So vsmconsortium.org, if folks want to know, check it out and go see it. All right, cool. Well, with that, we are about 3 minutes to the top of the hour. So I'm afraid we are going to have to close out our conversation on value stream management, but I'm going to leave the question and answer tab open. If we get any last minute questions come in, please know that all these fine folks will be getting a copy of all the questions that came in. And if we don't address it during the webinar, I'm sure somebody from their organizations will be happy to address them with you offline after the webinar. So please, like I said, if you got a question, please go ahead and get it on in, and we'll definitely get you an answer one way or another. Also, quick reminder to the audience that today's event has been recorded. So if you missed any or all of it, or if you just want to watch it again, you will have the opportunity to do so. Following today's webinar, we will be sending out an email that contains a link to access the webinar on demand. And the webinar is also going to be living on the DevOps.com website, so you can go find it there. Just go to DevOps.com/webinars, look in the on-demand section, and it should be right there waiting for you. All right, I guess the next thing that we need to do is the drawing for the 4 $25 Amazon gift cards. So without further ado, our first winner today is Kimberly W. Congratulations, Kimberly. Our second winner today is Joyce W. Congratulations, Joyce. Our third winner today is Jim D. Congratulations, Jim. And our fourth winner today is Dean C. Congratulations, Dean. We'll be following up with all 4 of you by email after today's webinar to get your Amazon gift card over to you. So please check your inbox. And if you don't see anything there, please check your spam folder. Okay. Oh, thanks, Jeff, for sending that URL out via the chat. So again, if you're interested in the Value Stream Management Consortium, Jeff has sent out that link. So yay. Yep. Joyce says thanks. Thanks, Jeff, says Joyce. So there you go. With that, Al, Jeff, and Anna, thank you, all 3 of you, for being great presenters. Lots of value-added information on value stream management offered at today's webinar. So thank you all very much for your expertise and your insights. I do appreciate it, and I know the audience did as well. So thanks again for your time and your efforts. Really do appreciate it. I also want to, yeah, you're welcome. All right, I also want to thank the audience for joining me today. This is Charlene O'Hanlon, and I'm signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and please stay safe.